There was a group of us who said, no, we are never going to give up. We were going to fight this until Hissène Habré died or went to court.
Je vous prie de vous asseoir.
C'est la partie civile qui a la parole.
Mesdames et messieurs,
Ladies and gentlemen,
c'est avec
it is with
une
immense emotion
que je
that
me
I'm
lève à
standing
cet
here
instant.
at this moment,
Au nom des
representing
4
4,445 victims
que nous
over
représentons
15
depuis
years.
15 ans. Cette émotion qui me
This
mue,
emotion comes from having the exceptional honor,
l'honneur
along with
exceptionnel
my colleagues,
d'être la mandataire
and the
avec mes
thousands of
confrères
victims
de ces
of the
milliers
bloody and violent
victimes de
crimes,
sang terrible. D'être la
to be the
porte-voix des
mouthpiece of the
sans-voix,
voiceless,
des disparus,
the missing,
des
the
morts,
dead,
des
the tortured,
suppliciés,
of all those who suffered at the hands of Hissène Habré, but who will never have the chance to tell you their stories.
devant vous.
J'appelle Monsieur Hissène Habré au prétoire.
Hissène Habré refused to testify during his 8-month trial. He had not a single word to say to the hundreds of victims who day after day testified against him.
I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
When the President Reagan came into power, we were instructed to do everything possible to stop Libyan activities. America was not going against Gaddafi. He was just doing everything to foment revolution. So in that context, Chad became an important area for us.
The United States did not care in Chad per se, but they did have a very strong interest in reining in the ambitions of Colonel Gaddafi. What we did was we assessed what Chad needed. The Chadian soldier is more point and shoot. It had to be pretty simple. It was part of my function to coordinate all that.
The United States arms the regime of Hissène Habré, but France hesitates. The socialist François Mitterrand wants a new approach to Africa, less interventionist. He sends advisor Roland Dumas to talk to Gaddafi.
I told him, let's decide a border together. You go just to that point, and we're going to protect you in what we'll call the useful Chad. If you go beyond that, it's war.
Muammar Gaddafi agrees not to go beyond the 16th parallel, a symbolic border which separates pro-Libyan troops from Habré's troops.
We want to work with you, but on our terms. If it doesn't work, there will be a confrontation.
But 2 years into his rule, President Habré creates international headlines when his regime carries out its first massacre in the south. As part of the preparation for Habré's trial, attorney Jacqueline Modena returns to the region where the armed rebels, the Kodos, fought against Habré and sought to secede.
The government gave them a meeting at the Daily Farm. It's an experimental farm. The idea was to organize a reconciliation, surrender the weapons, and allow the Kodos to reunite with the National Army.
In this isolated place, Hissène Habré's army ambushes the Kodo rebels.
The first time I came here, in February of 2000, the guard, who was an eyewitness, made me walk among the trees, and we saw bones everywhere. At 10:45 in the morning, a vehicle full of soldiers arrived. According to the first witness, there were about 710 people. The area was crowded, he told us. The soldiers opened fire on anything that moved. The farmland was covered with bodies, and the bodies were buried all around here. This farm is one of the symbols of the massacre in the south. There are entire villages that were burned. When the soldiers found people praying in the churches, they killed them. They burned those people in the churches as they prayed. It was a real massacre in 1984.
The army of Hissène Habré kills without mercy and represses the south, while the world looks to the north. Gaddafi violates his tacit agreement with France. Pro-Libyan troops cross the symbolic border at the 16th parallel and advance on the capital of Chad.
Face à ce que le régime de Tripoli est en train de faire, nous avons demandé et nous insistons pour que la France participe à nos côtés pour repousser l'agression extérieure.
I think Mitterrand was anxious to avoid commitment in Chad, but he couldn't escape it. He and his government could not escape it in reality.
L'opération Manta a commencé.
Plus de 300 bérets rouges de l'infanterie de marine attendus à N'Djamena, une opération militaire baptisée Manta que Paris a décidé de lancer devant l'aggravation des combats au nord du pays, dans la région de Faya-Largeau.
Hissène Habré gets what he wanted, the engagement of the French military. Gaddafi backs down and signs an agreement with François Mitterrand. He agrees to withdraw his troops from Chad.
As soon as Hissène Habré became the chief strategist in a country that is strategic for us, we began to let him do as he liked. He found himself in a position of great importance for the French and at the same time for the Americans. We gave him carte blanche. We closed our eyes to what he was doing. From the moment we told him, all we ask of you is that you keep a hold on your country, how could he not abuse that position?
During our investigation, we uncovered 7 detention centers in N'Djamena alone. As one former detainee said, N'Djamena was nothing but a big prison.
Mr. President, this small cell of less than 20 square feet, I assure you, held 8 people. So, to save our legs, I would stick myself against the wall, and I let my fellow prisoner in front of me put his right leg over my left shoulder. He put his left leg over my right shoulder so he could sleep. When I get tired, I tap on his leg. Then he takes my position and he takes his turn with my legs on him. I saw my first food on the 3rd day. I was given rice to eat, but I could not swallow. It felt like there was sand in the rice. Frankly, if you gave it to the animals, they would not eat it either. I assure you of that. That's the reason we got sick.
But now the Americans and the French cannot say that they were not aware of these things. Right next to the detention centers, you have the residence of the ambassador of France, and in front of the DDS, there's USAID, an American organization. And when we carried the bodies to the Plain of the Dead, we would walk past the French troops, which were sometimes watching the area from their helicopters. I think now they can't say that they didn't know anything.
One of the very first documents we picked up was the report of a training course in the United States for a number of DDS agents, including some who were listed later as the most feared torturers in Chad. We see from the entry log of the DDS, the liaison from the US to the DDS was coming in and out of the DDS. It would be really hard to say that the US did not know what was going on.
Of course, we knew about human rights violations in Chad. It was not an issue for us. As I said before, our main focus was Libya. Of course, we frequently have to help people who are not very nice to do our things, but we did not regret anything there. It is realpolitik, yes.